So welcome everyone. I'm so excited to see you. My name is Dr. Katie Ossel. I'm the Assistant Superintendent for Student Services in District 59. And I'm here hosting tonight with Mrs. Blue, our school counselor at Friendship Junior High School. Do you want to say something, Mrs. Blue?
I'm so excited to be here. Thank you guys so much for coming. It should be a good, interesting talk together.
Absolutely. So we are here for our fourth career pathway panel, which is focused tonight on health and medical sciences. We've had 3 nights so far this year that have gone incredibly well on law, on engineering, and on visual arts. And now we are talking about health. So we are joined by an outstanding panel who is going to share lots of their experiences in the health field. And they will be on the top rows of your screen. So we will start with introductions. Let's get to know each of our panelists. We have with us tonight Alonzo Aguirre, who is a paramedic and firefighter in Chicago. We also have with us Hannah Bald, an Elk Grove High School senior. We have Michelle Johnlich, who is currently a NICU team leader, and Dr. Kenyatta Evans Snelligan, currently a nurse practitioner. So I'll give them each a moment to introduce themselves and tell you a little bit about why they're here tonight. Who would like to start us off?
Yeah, take the gander on this one. Hello, how you all doing? My name is Alonzo Aguirre. I'm paramedic firefighter for Chicago Fire Department, and I was talking to the rest of the panel, saying that it's been a blessing, and it's just a great opportunity, and this is a great opportunity to be able to talk amongst y'all, the young, to get a better understanding of what it is that you guys want to do in life, so glad to be here. All right, take it away.
I can go next. My name is Michelle Johnlich. I'm a nurse in the neonatal intensive care unit. I work in Chicago. I went to Friendship as well. I graduated from Friendship in 1992, so a long time ago, but I still remember the hallways and the library, and it probably looks different now, but I'm picturing it in my mind right now. I'm excited to see so many people here who are interested in the health career, and hopefully many of you are interested in the pathway to be a nurse.
Thank you, Michelle. All right. Hannah, do you want to jump in?
Yeah, I can go next. Hi, I'm Hannah. I'm an Elk Grove senior. I'm in the health careers pathway at Elk Grove, and I'm hoping to go into surgical nursing. That's the plan. Never know with what comes up these days, but yeah.
Great.
Hello, I am Kenyatta. At work, they call me Dr. Kenyatta. Some of them call me mommy because they feel like I'm the mommy of the clinic. But I am a doctor prepared nurse practitioner. I've been a practitioner for 12 years, and I was born and raised on the south side of Chicago, but now I live in Rosemont, so I'm like a totally different culture shock for me for the past 13 years. And I'm really happy to be here because I love speaking to young people about what they want to do in life, because I can tell you the things I've been through in my lifetime that can really give some ideas. Maybe I can tell you where if you didn't like it before, you never know, keep your mind open, because in a few years you may love it.
Good point. Excellent. All right, so let's start off with something that you think is incredibly exciting about being in the health field. What are your favorites, the things that make you excited to go to work each day or to learn more about health?
Oh man, if I can go, my coworkers, I love the guys, and the woman there too, but it's a good camaraderie, it's just great, great group of people. You know, especially in healthcare, period. You know, you have to be a people person. And, you know, I can't stress that enough that, you know, if you're kind-hearted, good person, this might be something for you. You know, it's a good thing. It's, you know, small things, you know, you don't have to go out and beyond, you know, like the TV shows, you know, doing crazy things. It's just talking to people and, you know, and their worst days, just certain words that you can express to them means a whole difference. But I honestly think, you know, good group of people, you create a great positive energy. It's a rewarding thing to be in healthcare.
I can kind of say, you know, similar to what Alonzo said, when I go to work every day, it's like truly my second home. I feel like my coworkers are part of my family. And, you know, I think in the healthcare field where we're all together trying to really make a difference in somebody's life, you know, you're there to really care for people and make them feel better. So you all sort of come together as a team and become like this little mini family. That's one of the things that I really love every day when I go to work.
I can say when I go to work every day, I just love the fact that it's something that this field is, I never get tired of it. There's something new every day. I don't care which part of the medical field you're in. I don't think you see the same thing twice, not the same way. I mean, we have certain protocols, certain procedures we do, but because of the patients that we see, the dynamic, the different people coming from different backgrounds, families, you never know what you're going to get. You know, that kind of reminds me of Forrest Gump. You never know what you're going to get. but I really, really enjoy my patients. I have been in so many different fields in nursing, you know, from being a medical surgical neuro nurse, stroke nurse, to working in surgery with cardiovascular medicine, to primary care, to home care, to working, now I'm the medical provider for American Airlines. And just the people, you know, and and knowing that when you go home each day, you may have done something to touch someone's life to make them feel better versus them going home, you know, upset or hurt or sad. You hopefully touched a life that day and you can go home with a good peace of mind and a light off your heart, you know.
That is a really great point. And this year in particular has been so very difficult with the pandemic. And everybody is struggling in different ways to figure out their way through that. And our health practitioners have been our heroes throughout all of it. Now, Alonzo and Kenyatta, you both spoke to the personal interactions within your roles and how you can make a difference for people just in very little ways. Does anyone have an example of interaction that you may have had recently where you feel like you were really able to just make a difference for that person in a tough moment through your interactions with them? I see a hand raise. Okay, go for it, Kenyatta.
Well, okay. In my job, as I work, like I just said, American Airlines, I work at O'Hare. Okay, so I am the only medical provider right now for the O'Hare location for Premise Health in American Airlines. I do not get free tickets, so please don't ask me that one. I hate that. I wish I did. But anyway, we do certain things every day. Like we do hearing exams for OSHA to make sure the people that work there, that they don't lose their hearing, dealing with, you know, when they taxi the planes out, when they're, you know, this stuff is loud. I mean, you're on the airfield constantly, you know, or the gate agents, when they open that door, they gotta make sure you're not losing hearing. Okay, that's a basic thing. Well, part of the hearing exam, sometimes we have to also do blood pressure checks and vision tests. Well, this one time, this guy came in and he asked me to do his blood pressure. And when I was doing his blood pressure, I have on that finger pulse ox. It just what it does is detects your pulse as well as how much oxygen is flowing through your body to your fingertips and gives you a good percentage. Well, on there, if you have a good oxygen flow that we notice, like 98, 100%, great. That means your pulse is pretty accurate. Well, his pulse was going irregular. It would go very slow, like 50 beats per minute, to really fast, like 120 beats per minute. But it was very, very not regular. Okay, if I can explain it not right. When I was looking at it, it was jumping all over the place. But he was very calm. He did not feel a thing. I kept asking him, he did not feel a thing. My experience in cardiovascular surgery for years, I felt that that was unusual because he took blood pressure medication. He had a cardiologist, no heart disease or anything. So I was kind of alarmed in his job description. So I told him he needed to go home and call his cardiologist and let him know that his heart rate is irregular and he could not feel it. It's very serious because just like when they say high blood pressure is a silent killer, when you don't know what's wrong, something is wrong and it can really hurt you, okay, more so than when you can feel it, okay? So I sent him home. He called his cardiologist. Cardiologist sent him to, he told him to come in. He said, oh my God, go to the emergency room. That day, he had to have what you call a cardiac ablation. They had to kind of shock his heart. He had a deadened area of his heart that was being really affected. His pulse was being really affected because it was trying to overwork itself, which was also raising his blood pressure. Doctor said if I wouldn't have been listening to his heart, he would not have known. He could have walked on the airfield, had a heart attack and collapsed.
Oh my goodness. Wow. So by noticing, right, this little thing and really giving very clear advice, you truly saved this man. That's incredible. And how little things can make such an amazing difference.
Thank you. Unfortunately, that happens more often than you think.
Well, I think he was very lucky to interact with you that day.
Well, I appreciate that. He said he was too.
Yes, I bet. That's great. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you sharing. What a great story. Any others on how small interactions can really make a huge difference for people?
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, go on. No, please.
I was just going to say, you know, in my role in the neonatal intensive care unit, we spend a lot of time talking to parents, especially when they're very scared. They're usually there because their baby is either born too early, so the baby's born premature, or the baby's born with some sort of illness that they can't take them home. So a lot of times, you know, our patient is the baby, but when you do anything in pediatrics or any sort of nursing in that field, your patient is also the family. So the whole patient, you have to look at the whole family together. So a lot of times just spending that extra time to talk to the mom and the dad and make sure that, you know, they're feeling comfortable and their questions are answered. I think that's one of the things you get to do as a nurse. You don't always have to do your one thing. You have to be able to do multiple different things, you know, be able to talk to the family, plus look at the baby, plus, you know, do your head to toe assessment. So I think the moments that I get to sit and talk with patients or family members, I really feel like I can make a difference, you know, at those times.
Great, thank you. And Alonso?
Yeah, no, it's similar to that. You know, for us, sometimes we get a lot of refusals. You know, refusals of medical service. You know, family calls 911 because they're really worried or they're concerned of family members' well-being. One good example was last week. Gentleman was fairly young. He's a grandfather, and you know, we walked in home and a bunch of little kids are playing. So you know, you're waving at the kids, saying hi. Gentleman, he's a competent adult. He just didn't want to go, but you know, he kept on passing out according to the family throughout the day. And you know, we do vital signs. Blood pressure was really not checking out at the time, but he was just very adamant about going to the hospital. But talking to the little kids, showing them a blood pressure cuff, hey, put it on grandpa, you know, that kind of that changed his mind up a little bit. So that's what I say. You know, you just speaking with people. You know, it's not like, man, we're not doing anything invasive, but you know, God forbid he falls down the stairs or something. Mm-hmm. But you know, it was pretty neat to see the kids, you know, just interacting, playing with the, you know, the monitor that we have, you know. So that was pretty neat. That's my story. It's not really cool, but
it sounds like you had to get really creative, and you did. And
yeah, they were good helpers. I told him it was better than my partner, you know. He didn't like it.
All right, so let's switch gears a little bit and talk about how you became interested in your field, and kind of the educational path to get there. So what initially made you interested in going into your careers? And Hannah, for you, when did you become interested in health, and how did that look at the high school level?
Well, I like to say I didn't always used to be interested in healthcare. I thought I was going to be a marine biologist, but that changed very quickly. I think I wanted to be a nurse, maybe like my sophomore year, and the counselors do a really great job of explaining this, but how it's broken down at Elk Grove, they just added a fourth course this year, but it's Intro to Healthcare Careers, which you can take your freshman or sophomore year, which is sort of like the basics. It teaches you general word breakdowns and how like medical words are broken down and more of like the general body systems. And then your second year is MedTerm, which is Intro to Healthcare 2 and MedTerm through Harper. So you get college credit for that. And that goes into more like complex body systems and obviously more medical terms because there's a lot. And then I'm taking this my senior year, which is CNA. You can get a CNA certificate at the end of it, which is pretty cool. That's through Harper. And then they just added anatomy and physiology class for your junior year, which is in place of your junior physics class. I would have totally taken that if I had the option. I was just in regular physics though. And that it's just really cool how Elk Grove offers all of those courses because I can leave high school knowing that I can go out and get a real job. Like, I think that that's cool. So it's a really good opportunity.
It sounds like you've accomplished a ton in a short period of time with that partnership with Elk Grove High School and Harper. That's outstanding. So Hannah, for our junior high schoolers who are listening today, if they were interested, at what point in high school would they start maybe talking to their counselor about that or looking into those classes?
So a lot of people started their freshman year. I ended up starting my sophomore year. So when you are nearing the end of 8th grade, they'll like have you come in and start picking your classes and they can give you a better understanding of how you want to break that down because there are some like required classes that you need to fill, like personal finance and regular health. So they can help you like organize that with your schedule.
Great, thank you. And for our practitioners, when did you become interested in the health field and what did your path look like?
I would say my path was pretty simple, honestly. I always knew I wanted to be a nurse. I wish that there was a high school pathway like that when I was in high school because there wasn't. But I did fight to not take physics because I said I'm going to be a nurse and I will never need physics. And I was right. So there was some sort of medical science class that that I was able to take in high school. But so I took that instead. So I knew I wanted to be a nurse. I went through high school knowing I wanted to be a nurse, and I applied to the College of Nursing at the University of Illinois at Chicago. And I think I applied to Northern University, and I got accepted straight into the College of Nursing at UIC. So that's where I went to college. It was a really tough program. They didn't mess around at UIC. It was, that was my life, was nursing school, but I loved every minute. And I just can still remember the excitement I felt, after each clinical or during each clinical, learning about the different areas of, medicine and the different specialties. I got to, through those clinicals, you kind of get to know what you might like to do and what you might not like to do. I knew I did not want to take care of adults. I knew that from the moment I stepped foot on the adult floor, but it didn't mean that I didn't get through it. I still, I still took all the lessons that she's shaking her head at me. This is what all adult nurses say to nurses who don't take care of adults. And then when I graduated college, I looked for jobs. I thought I wanted to do regular pediatrics, and I just kind of stumbled upon the neonatal intensive care unit when I was interviewing, I was fortunate that when I graduated, there was sort of a nursing shortage, so I could work in any area that I really wanted, which is what's happening by the time you guys will be graduating as well. The nurses who are, they call it the baby boomer generation, are sort of retiring and leaving some spots open for people to come in, and we need nurses. So then I got a job at Rush Hospital in the city, and I worked there for a couple years, and I tried home health for a year, and then I found the current job I have, and I've been there for almost 18 years.
Awesome. Thank you, Michelle. So we have an example of knew early on, right? We have two people, Hannah and Michelle, who knew early on that they wanted to go into this field. Did anyone not know early on or have a different kind of path that they would like to share?
I can go first. I don't care. Okay. Well, when I was in high school, I always said growing up that I actually wanted to be a doctor, not and I wanted to be an actual oncologist. Well, I didn't like school when I was in high school, so I managed to graduate with honors, but I had a B average. But I rarely opened a book. Now, I was reading Macbeth and Shakespeare. I loved it. I loved English literature. I loved science. I was in honors and AP classes, but I didn't open a book. And so basically, I was one of those people that can get through it without studying. That is not right. It is not right. Because when I went to college, I got a whole rude awakening about studying. And I failed my first 2 years at UIC. This is why I say UIC definitely has a really good program. So I failed, but that's okay, because sometimes nothing beats a failure but a try. Okay, so when I messed up in school, it told me something. I skated through school all those years by just, okay, natural knowledge. I mean, that's great and all, but my sister was smart. She learned how to study early on, even though she was naturally intelligent. She said, you're not gonna get through life without doing it the right way. Teachers try to tell me, but I learned the hard way. I can make a couple comments about that, but I learned the hard way. So I regrouped. I went to Harold Washington for a year. I said, no one's going to beat me. When I got that letter saying that I was released from UIC for a year to get my grades up somewhere else and come back, I said, why would I come back to some ways that kicked me out? But that's okay. I regrouped. I got almost straight A's at Harold Washington, was put in my first honor society while I was there. And from there, I felt I needed some discipline. So I enlisted into the Army. And I felt that I must not be listening to people. So I'm gonna have to get it like knocked into my head somehow really hard. So I decided to get hollered at by drill sergeants for a few months would help me. It did, because you're either gonna love the military or you're gonna hate it. Now I'm gonna tell you, I loved it, okay? I enlisted. I ended up going on while I was, when I graduated and left the military, when I left active duty, I was a carpentry and masonry specialist. So I was a construction worker. I went from being in science in the lab to being a construction worker, because I said I need to be outside and do something different to see how the other half lives, only because I needed to work hard. I was a spoiled brat. My mama was an RN, bachelor's degree from DePaul. My father was a Chicago paramedic. I was spoiled. And I did not know any better. So I learned. I went airborne, jumped out of airplanes for the military, did whatever they told me to do. I can drive a tank. I can drive a 5-ton bucket loaders, grader, scraper. I ended up being an engineer company commander. And so after that, I became a captain. I left the military, but while I was still in, I went back to school. I ended up going down to school in Alabama, because I had to get away from Chicago because it was just messing me up. I went to school in Alabama. Excellent grades, because I'm in the who's who book of 1999 for biomedical sciences and chemistry. Can't believe that. And I ended up graduating with a bachelor's degree in biomedical sciences and chemistry, and a minor also in military science. From there, I started working in a lab because I still wanted to go to medical school, but I kept getting activated. So that was messing me up. So eventually I came back. My mom had it when I was 26. My mom had an aneurysm. And when she had an aneurysm and went down, she was a nurse. She had the worst headache she ever felt in the shower, and had to be rushed to the hospital, of course, had to have an emergency surgery. She had a congenital aneurysm and an atrioventricular malformation. That means the veins and the arteries in her head were all mixed together in this big old jumble, as well as she had this big old like ballooned area of her vessel in her head that had to be clipped, and she had to have burr holes put into actual screw holes in her brain, in her skull, so she can have some relief of pressure. Well, I saw good and bad nursing because she was at the surgical neurological ICU of Christ Hospital. And I really got a chance to see nursing. My mom talked about it for years. And I was like, I listened to it, but I was too close to it. I sat there and watched how they treated her in the ICU. I saw, like I said, and I learned, my mom always told me the only way to make change is to do it yourself. So I felt that, you know what, I want to help, but how do I help? And I really wanted to touch my mom and to take care of her, take care of those like her. But I noticed as a physician, it's not so much. They investigate, they find a cure. It's a curative method. But I really wanted to put my hands on people and make them feel better. So that fall, I enrolled in nursing school, and I already had a bachelor's degree. So it took me 2 years to get my bachelor's in nursing. And I became a medical surgical nurse as well as a neural nurse. She said she never wanted to work with adults. I never wanted to work with kids. I was like, no. So but I loved working with stroke patients. My first research project was the effects of music therapy on acute stroke survivors when I was getting my master's degree. And I noticed that music helps you at the most vulnerable time in your life. It helps you with pain, it helps you to heal, and helps you get through therapy. So I did that as a research project. And then I did a lot of presentations on it or whatever. But then from there, I felt that, like I said, I went floor nursing and people kept coming to me for everything. And I was like, well, maybe I need to do more. Because I remember I said I wanted to be a doctor, but then again, I'm a nurse and I love being a nurse. So what was the best of both worlds was to become a nurse practitioner. So I went to school while I was going to school, while I was working full time, 3 days a week. I went to school full time to be a nurse practitioner while being in the reserves, and I had a baby. But that's okay. Sleep is a privilege, not a priority. So I dealt with it. But being in the military and learning that, like I said, learning about sleep, learning how to manage my time, learning what I was made of, helped me. I do not regret a thing. By the age of 30, I had already been a captain in the Army, have a master's degree, had a kid, and I was doing what I needed to do in life, but I still felt that I worked as a nurse practitioner. I just got my doctorate in 2018 because I knew the law was going to change in the state of Illinois to say, oh, if we're going to act like doctors, we need to have a doctorate degree. I said, okay, I have to be competitive. I decided to keep it because I want to work for a long time. And I feel like the voice of the patient needs to be heard. That's why I got it. Not because, I need to be better than somebody else. Because I tell people my name is Kenyatta. Yeah, that's a doctor. Okay, great. My whole family tells everybody, but I like to be called Kenyatta. I like the patient. I can sit down with the patients and talk to them, and versus standing over them. I don't stand over people. That's not respectful, But I have enjoyed the whole ride, going from floor nursing to home care, which is interesting. I really live 600-pound life sometimes, but I don't regret a thing. And I will tell anyone that if you don't know what you want to do, I do advise, military is a great way to go. If you do not know what you want to do, if you have doubts about your life, if you graduated from high school and you like, really? And you don't want to waste your mama money by flunking out of school after 2 years, go in the Army. Learn who you are. If you don't know who you are before you went into the military or the Air Force or the Marines or the Coast Guard, you will definitely know when you're finished. Okay. And you can accomplish a lot. I don't regret my life at all. By the age of 40 years old, I had 4 college degrees and I'm doing okay.
That is pretty amazing.
It seems like it when you think back on it, but at the time I was just doing it as I went along. And I also will tell you this. When I was 8, I was diagnosed with ADHD. And my parents did not want to give me meds. They said, keep her busy because she's smart as heck. Because you know what? You can either go one way or the other. Just because you have something, they tell your attention span is short, because my attention span is short. You keep going. You use it to your advantage. I kept my attention going. So I'm gonna tell you, if you have ADHD and they told you, well, you're this, don't worry about it. You're gonna use it to your advantage when you get older. You're gonna use it to multitask. I did. And hey, I can tell you a lot more stuff that I had to do. Now, I got me in trouble. Don't get me wrong. I was the most mischievous person. I got in trouble for pulling the fire alarm in high school. But I will tell you, my father was a paramedic that showed up, so I got in a lot of trouble. But I will tell you that in the end, I know a lot of doctors and nurses, people of medical professionals, military that have ADHD, they have operant divine disorder, they have everything that you could probably label, and they're successful because they use it to their advantage and they keep going and don't let anything stop them.
Well, it sounds like we have some very direct paths into the healthcare field, and we have some indirect paths that really give us just a wealth of experiences that you can bring to the field, which is pretty amazing. So regardless of what the path is, everybody, it takes a lot of education to get here, which is something we've also heard in our answers. Can anyone share with us, what does that look like? What does that education look like in high school and following to be in the role that you are in right now? How many years? What types of school? Maybe not all the years, Kenyatta. But for those students on the call right now, what does that educational path look like and that timeline look like?
Well, I could speak for anybody that's interested in healthcare, as far as being an EMT or paramedic. At least from what I've known in Chicago, I went to Malcolm X College, and EMT program was about 5.5, 6 months. And afterwards, I worked on a private ambulance, and I was fortunate enough to actually go into interview for paramedic school at Malcolm X, and that was a 1-year program. And it just goes by so quick, and it's really not much. You don't. I'm not trying to downgrade. I've known people that were lawyers that decided to become paramedics or whatnot. Now, to apply for a certain municipality, that varies. I can tell you for Chicago, I waited 14 years to get this opportunity, and it's a lottery. It's a lottery, and that's you understand it when they say it's truly winning the lottery. So I get it, but but if you pursue it, some people say to become a firefighter for Chicago, like I said, it's a lottery. It's you take a test. It's really not difficult, and you just get a lottery number, so you're a number. But the easiest way to become is get in as a paramedic. But my lottery numbers were high as paramedic. So maybe whoever chooses to become a Chicago firefighter or paramedic, you might get lucky. But, there's resources out there, though. There's programs that I've just been wind of a couple of years ago. It's called the CPFTA. And I cannot stress that so much to people. I didn't know about it. I went to I was born and raised in Chicago, south side of Chicago as well. Kenyatta, Gage Park, and and I went to St. Lawrence High School. It was a Catholic all boys high school.
My brother went there.
Oh, did he?
Yes.
What do you? Oh, I graduated in 04.
He graduated.
I'll give my age.
Please. He graduated in 95. Dude, no.
All right, but I went to that, a Catholic high school, and unfortunately I was not aware, even my dad didn't even know these programs existed, but, those are the things you can do. If you want to do EMT or paramedic, like I said, EMT is 6 months program, and from what I'm hearing right now, it's still 1 year as a paramedic. So.
Adjunct to that, Alonzo, just as if anyone's there, any students that are students of color, they have the Black Fire Brigade that is also for the Chicago Fire Department, that you can go on Facebook and you can Facebook the Black Fire Brigade and just email them questions and everything, and they will definitely help you. It's a really great opportunity. They will answer your questions. They really don't care though, even if you aren't African American, they can care less. They're there for the community. So they'll help you and give you resources.
Yeah, and with that said, the CPFTA program, I tell you, you take that course, you're guaranteed a job as a police officer or a Chicago firefighter. It's a guaranteed, I wish I knew about it. It was something that was implemented in 2002, I believe, but I just didn't know about it. So anybody that's interested, man, look into that. There's the resources. I mean, computer now, technology, it's incredible.
Really good points are being presented here for our students. Think about the resources that you have. In junior high, you've got your counselor, you've got Mrs. Blue here, you've got your counselors at our other schools to help you think about career paths and the resources that are available to you. And the same will be true of high school. So make sure that you're reaching out to those around you to find out what those resources are, because where there's a will, there's a way, and we'll help you figure it out and make it happen. We've heard great stories of perseverance today, of working through lots of years of education, of working through trials and tribulations. And the reality is, when you're determined, you can make something happen, especially with the resources that can be provided to you at our junior highs and at your future school. So keep that in mind. Let's do an easy one. What was your favorite subject when you were in middle school? Recess is not a middle school thing anymore, so.
Graffiti? No.
No.
Messing around.
What was your favorite?
I always liked science, I was not really a good speller, but I was pretty decent in math. But science, I like science. It was good.
All right.
Mine was math.
All right.
My mother thought I was going to be a pharmacist, just like you.
Interesting connections here. Outside pharmacy.
That's the South Side.
Or Hannah, what were your favorites?
My favorite was also math and science, but I did like English a lot too.
I can say I love to read, but I don't necessarily like English class, because I always seem to read a book that was not provided by the teacher, which is why I kept getting in trouble.
Gotcha.
But I did read a lot.
Yeah, I also did read a lot too.
Yeah, and I'm sure that is still very necessary in your work. Hannah, middle school wasn't far off for you. What was your favorite just a few years ago?
I think mine would have to be math and science as well, which gave me an idea to go into health careers, because those are well needed. So
awesome. I do want to take a moment and remind students that if you have questions, you can submit those in the chat. Those are going to go right to Mrs. Blue, and she's going to present them at the end of our Zoom tonight to our panelists. So you're hearing lots of interesting things. If you have questions, please make sure to enter them into the chat. All right, let's move on to what advice would you have for your middle school self? So think about where you are in life right now. Think about your middle school self. Think about the path that you now know that you would have taken. And what advice would you have for your middle school self? Maybe for all of the wonderful students who are logged in tonight listening to us.
I would tell myself to take more chances and not be so shy. Because I think it took me a while to come out of my shell, all the way probably into college. And I think that even when you are sitting in class and you know the answer and you want to say it so bad, but you're just nervous about saying the wrong answer, that was always me. And then the next person would say the answer and they were right and I was right. And then I always was like, darn it, I wish I would have said that. So I think I would tell myself to take more chances.
Great advice. Thanks, Michelle.
I would say listen to your teacher when they tell you how to learn how to study, and time management. Time management is so important. I didn't learn that until I fixed my issue. But I really believe that if you sit down and pace yourself and think about what you got to do. And for people like me, I need visual aids, so I have to write it down. Sometimes I just got to write down my timeline. Even though we have it in our phones, we can write it. I sometimes have to write it on a piece of paper just to see what I have to do and if I have enough time to do it in. And then if I have to study, if I put myself on a timeline for studying, then I know that I can do other things. I just keep thinking I'm missing something, or I'm gonna not be able to have fun because I have to spend time studying. No, if I do it the right way, I can do both. I just gotta learn how to do it. I wish I could have told myself that.
Well, and that is a really good point, that everybody really learns and studies in different ways. And so finding out the way that works for you as early as possible is a great thing that's going to set you up for success later in life. So taking a little bit of time to figure out this way doesn't really work, but that way is great for me. And then keep that in mind as you study and as you go through junior high and high school. It'll help you later on. Other words of advice?
To add on to that, I think, developing good study habits is probably really important. I wish I would have known that, because going into my freshman year, I didn't have as many as I do now, and learning to take notes and not copy down the entire page, writing every single word and every single word the teacher's saying. I think it makes you understand it a lot better, and asking questions is really important, because when you're just sitting there staring at a screen like right now, or just at a teacher, you're not really understanding. And if you have questions, they can answer them. That's what they're there for. And I think that I would have liked to have heard that more.
Great advice.
I would say focus on your strong points. If you're a people person, you like science or whatnot, I think going in earlier, everybody's like, man, I got to be a doctor. I got to do this. I think it's just finding your strong points throughout your life at that moment in time. We'll say 14 years old, it's not like, man, I got to be a lawyer. Just finding your strong points. Are you a people person? Do you like speaking to people? Do you like helping people? Things of that nature. I remember when I was in grammar school, we used to have these things, and not a lot of people liked them, but I every time that I took these, I guess they would do it once a year. It was a questionnaire, and at the end, they'd give you a little pie chart, and it would say, all right, well, the percentage was me as a public servant. Makes sense. Here I am now, But I think just finding your strong points. Don't stress it too much, Think about a little bit in the future. You're going to be happy with what you're going to be doing ultimately every single day when you go to work.
Outstanding. All right, let's do one more question, and then we're going to move to our student questions. Does that work, Mrs. Blue? Okay, fantastic. So would one or two people share what was one of the most fun or exciting moments of your career so far? A highlight, a really fun moment.
I don't think it's appropriate. But no.
Thank you for filtering.
I have a fun moment, but it wasn't with my current career. It was when I was in airborne school. And I remember going through, I was in jump week. We were in the plane, getting ready to jump, and I was the first one in what they call a chalk. There was 30 of us all lined up, and we're about to jump out the plane. And I remember nothing prepares you for when they open them doors and say, you got to go. And I remember when they opened the plane door, I was like, wow, there's some air. And I'm standing in front with my chute. And they was like, you got to get out the plane. They hollering at you, go, go, go. And I remember I hesitated. And the sergeant airborne said, if you don't go, I will put my foot up, and I'm going to kick you out the plane. And I was like, oh, you don't want to get kicked out the plane because that's not good, right? So I jumped. I remember walking out, and I remember having the most surreal moment because I went from this loud whooshing noise all in my head and my Kevlar being scared to having like the greatest experience out in the sky, and nothing's there. And it was the most quiet I've ever experienced in my life. It was a clear day. It was beautiful. I feel like I could touch the clouds. I will tell you, you cannot grab a cloud. You just go straight through it. It's like mist, but it's really cool. And it was a great experience. But ever since then, though, every time I get on the roller coaster, my stomach doesn't drop. So
You're immune.
but it was a great one of the greatest moments of my life. I do not regret it at all. So
Yeah, and sometimes we need a little extra push, right? Whether that's metaphorically or literally. Sometimes we need that little extra push to do something we've never done before, right?
yeah, fear is a great motivator.
All right, other career highlights.
I could in the academy, we were doing live burns, and we walk into the building that we were doing this live burn, and I just remember just seeing flames over my head and feeling uncomfortable with the heat. It's not like I was melting or anything, but it just felt so uncomfortable. And I got big ears, so even through my through everything, the protective layers that we have, I just felt that it just felt so bad. I wanted to get out, but I knew I couldn't get out. And I just kept on looking at the flames, and I'm telling myself, man, what am I doing here? I waited all these years for this, why am I here? You got rats coming out, and, we're going in, but it felt good though. And, after like couple, 30 seconds, it felt good. And then I slap on the top of my helmet, he's like, what? I can't tell you what the drill instructor was telling me that time, but, he just grabbed me, and it felt great because, I was just like, yeah, I was just looking at that, but, I kind of had to keep on moving because I was messing everybody up in the back. And obviously they were taking the heat too, but, just little moments like that, you find, man, this, all right, this is where I want to be at. So.
I feel like I have kind of highlights almost every time I work or every time I'm there. And I think that is why I have been a nurse so long and why I've stayed in the same place. It's just those little moments every day. When I step back and think about how my day was, I can think of something that was, whether it was an interaction with a patient, whether it was seeing a baby go home that's been in the NICU for 3 months, or just helping a coworker, or being recognized for something, for a skill that I've, worked on, like, being the one who everyone says, we can't get this IV, can you come try, because something like that, where I feel like I've accomplished something. And becoming the team leader of my unit was also was a big accomplishment.
Well, we've certainly heard a very common theme tonight about helping others and interactions with others. And certainly it sounds that the reward in your careers is that moment when you know that you've impacted somebody, that you've helped them to determine a health need that they maybe didn't even know existed, that you're sending them home with their family, maybe for the first time as a baby. These moments where that you have the ability to impact someone who's scared, who you're interacting with at a very scary moment in their life, and you're able to calm them and help them know that everything will be okay. You really do outstanding work, and it's an honor to have you here tonight. So that being said, I'm going to hand it over to Mrs. Blue for some of the questions from our students.
Yeah, we had some great questions in the chat. So thank you, students who put some questions in there. So one of the funnier ones that I saw was, do all nurses have to deal with blood?
Oh,
Yes.
Yes.
At some point in your career, you're going to have to see blood. Just.
It's good to know up front.
mm-hmm.
And
go ahead.
I was going to say, and poop.
Oh, yes.
Bodily
and spit and vomit and anything that can come out your body. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Next question would be, if you are a paramedic, do you get to drive the ambulance?
Well, that is a very good question, because in the city of Chicago, if they mandate you, even though I'm on an engine, but man, if they need the manpower, yes, you will be detailed to the ambulance. So that's what happened to me a couple shifts ago.
Oh,
So yes, to answer your question, you certainly can.
thank you for sharing. Okay, next question. Is psychology a part of the medical pathway?
Good question.
Yes. Very good question. Yes. Some of our programs require psychology as part of the program. When I was getting my, I forget when it comes to, for nursing, we had psych. One of the nurses that was my instructor when I was getting my bachelor's was actually a psych nurse. And so she had a PhD in, she was a nurse with a PhD in nursing psych. You know what? You could make a lot of money as a psych nurse. I'm just saying. I mean, it's basically a nurse practitioner that has a specialty in psychology, in psychiatry. You also, when you get in my first in any science, you have to do an introduction to psychology as the first class, and it's actually pretty cool. It's a whole lot of reading, but you learn about yourself.
Great. Thank you so much for answering that. And then how many years do you have to go to college to be a nurse? I know we kind of talked about this a little bit, but
There's actually a few ways you can go to college to become a nurse. You can go to college for 2 years, and then you get what's called your associate's degree in nursing, or an ADN. And then you take a test to become an RN. So the RN by your name means that you passed your boards. And then there's also, you can go to college for 4 years, which is what I did, to get your bachelor's in nursing. And then you can keep going to college, like Miss Kenyatta did, and get many more degrees. I'm actually also going back to school right now. I'm almost done. In August, I'll have my master's degree in nursing.
Congratulations.
Thank you. But I think what I would encourage, because there's so many choices, I would definitely encourage, and I don't know if you would agree with me, Kenyatta, to go for your bachelor's degree if you're interested in becoming a nurse.
I agree. Yeah.
The associate's degree seems like, oh, I can do it in 2 years. It's not the same. And I believe that nursing is going definitely more towards, nursing was seen as a vocation, just kind of like a job many, many years ago. And now it's really a profession. And I think to really excel in that profession, 4 years is the way to go to get your start. You can always go back, but it's great to do it when you're young and when you're fresh and when you're very excited about it. And then, you can stop there or you can keep on going.
great. Thank
I
you.
agree.
The next question would be, what's a good way to stay motivated if you have to go to college for years, for 8 years for a health career?
You could do like me and multitask, go to college and army and work and all kinds of stuff. But a motivator is, to me, whenever I had that, I learned that when I get those grades, when I worked hard and those personal achievements, it made me feel good each time I got that A, or if I knew I was one step closer. So what I did was, just like the young lady, and I'm sorry, I'm not looking at her name right now, that's actually a CNA. When I was in nursing school, I got my CNA first. I worked at least a couple nights a week. I actually worked the night shift as a CNA, which is pretty funny. And I was going to nursing school at the same time. So it kept me interested because I was actually having the direct interaction. While in the day I'm going to school, I learned things. I can talk to the RNs that are on the floor. I can talk to the patients. I can see the interactions. Sometimes when I worked during the day, I saw the way the doctors communicate with the nurses, and it gave me ideas or gave me questions that I would take to school, and I would learn more, and I would say, aha, it gave me aha moments. So sometimes when you immerse yourself in the program itself, it can help you out. I firmly advocate for getting a CNA and working at least once every other week while you're going through nursing school, just to get your foot in that door so you can know if this is what you want to do. Because some people go into nursing and they realize, oh, I don't want to clean that up but guess what? That's your patient. And if they get a butt sore while they're in your care, it's your fault. So you have to learn the basics.
Great. Thank you so much. I think, Hannah, this is probably more for you. We had a student ask, how do your grades in school affect your career pathway?
So I know I've had a lot with this because for me going into nursing, there's a lot of different colleges because you can either go directly into nursing and already be like in the program for 4 years for a BSN, or you can do what I think I'm going to do is you go for 2 years and then you apply to the program after like your first semester of sophomore year. And the direct programs can be a lot more competitive. So having a higher GPA and higher SAT and ACT scores have really like helped. So I think maintaining a good GPA can help you in the long run, as well as like teaching you how to maintain a good GPA in college.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I think my question I would love to ask, and I don't even know why it's not in the chat, is how the pandemic has changed your career this year.
I had to do virtual health on nights for a while. And when somebody puts in that they want you to look at them in certain areas in the middle of the night by computer screen, that's not something you want to look at 2 o'clock in the morning. But I'm just saying that's what you have to do sometimes. Instead of working in the actual clinic or in the hospital, we had to do a lot of virtual health because we couldn't physically be in some of the centers. We had to close a lot of the immediate cares down and everything, and people still needed care. So we had to do the best we can, and we had to get creative. So that happened for a while, as well as every COVID question you could think of in the world.
I would say, yes, exactly. I would say being creative too. I'll just build on Kenyatta. Working with babies, we were sort of indirectly involved in COVID. We still had lots of questions. We still had to change a lot of things, and we had to really be resilient. We had to be able to change, every single day based on the information that we were getting. I kept telling everyone, I'm telling you this today, but I may not be telling you the same thing in 2 days. And in 2 days from now, don't say Michelle told you to do this, because it's probably going to be different. So I think the pandemic has really taught me to be comfortable with change.
And nurses don't like change.
I do not.
Anyone else have anything else to add for that one? Alonzo, I think you're muted.
Oh, I'm sorry. Have I been muted all this time?
I just noticed it, so I don't.
Oh, okay. I'm talking to myself over here. You just have to adapt. Honestly, I try not to think about it because, you'd go stir crazy thinking about it. You still have a job to do, and that's just what it is. But doing your due diligence, but just, you got good coworkers, as long as they wash their hands and they're not touching your stuff, you're all right. But it's just, staying educated on these type of things. And, it's unfortunately in the medical field, this is, this probably won't be the first time, it's just trying to adapt and understand, educate, and just doing your due diligence. Wash your hands.
Yes, wash your hands.
And mask up, okay?
Wear your mask. I had to learn how to use a pepper.
A pepper.
That's that hood that looks like a spacesuit.
Oh my God.
With the you've seen it on TV, it's a white hood where they got the screen.
Oh, okay.
And it got the holes connected to it. Look like you're on something, you ever seen the movie Outbreak? That's what I think of when I see that, when I wear it. Do you know a patient had the nerve, a pilot had the nerve to complain that we didn't have on a mask in the PAPR? I'm like, I know.
Huh?
I was like, this is way better than the mask, dude. I just, but you know, yes. So I have to do COVID rapid tests daily and PCR tests, which is the send-off test, and we have to put on a complete suit as well as I have a special filter in my room, my designated room, to test people to ensure that we don't, transmit or contaminate, and then we have to learn how to really clean everything down and use more products. And my hands I learned new treatments for my hands so they won't get so raw.
All right. Well, we are just about finished for tonight. So I want to end this evening by thanking you each, Alonzo, Hannah, Michelle, Kenyatta. Thank you so much for spending this time with us this evening, for teaching us about the health and medical field, and for giving us some ideas and some great stories about perseverance, about determination, about being there for people in their tough moments. We appreciate you for all that you do, especially at this time, and hope that everybody out there has a wonderful night. Thank you for joining us, and please look out for information on our future career panels, and feel free to reference our past career panels. They're all available to you. This one will also be available, is being recorded, and will be posted. Mrs. Blue, anything else to add?
That's it. Thank you guys so much for joining us, and yeah, stay tuned for the next one.
Have a wonderful night.
Good night.
Thank you. Good night.